elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. When you elevate, the second of losses, I'm handing them out.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe. Today's a little bit different. It's going to be a new segment that we are going to be rolling out. It is basically Friday Night Live. I like that. Something of that nature. Typically, Mondays we do the interviews with entrepreneurs and try to focus on, the mindset of an entrepreneur and help you further along on your journey. And then on Thursdays, we have the Thursday Brew or Thursday Thunder, not the thunder from down under, but
Here we go again.
This is where my brain's been going for the last, 2 hours trying to figure out how to get this live stream going. So, it is what it is.
There's little humps in the road. That's fine. No worries.
But another thing that, podcasting is kind of lacking, at least in my opinion. Me and Nick were talking about it, and if you guys don't remember, this is Nick, good old Nick.
Yes, who's back? Back again.
He was back. He was in the beginning, when we had the Strive Tribe podcast. But he's going to be co-hosting the Friday Night Lives with myself. And during these lives, we'll talk about some mindset stuff, but we want to also focus on the fitness aspect. Because back when we were doing the Strive Tribe podcast, we talked a lot about fitness, and I know it did help a lot of people on their fitness journeys. And so we want to make sure that the Mindset Cafe is not only giving you those Thursday brews, which is basically that mindset shift, different perspectives or different mindset techniques, the Mondays for the entrepreneurial drive, but now make sure that we're fully encompassing it with your personal development, right? So tonight is going to be a little bit of a rougher version just because we are not seeing the comments and stuff like that. Actually, you might be able to see it on your phone.
Yeah, there's no comments as of yet so far.
But we'll be streaming basically, we'll go live on a few different platforms on Friday night, and then basically the episode should go live on Saturday as kind of a recap, and that will go live on the podcast platforms, the Mindset Cafe podcast, so you can check that out whether you missed an episode or not. But, without further ado, let's talk about some fitness.
All right, let's get to
it.
So, just to kind of also give my 2 cents on that, as to overall why talking about, or at least like being able to explore more into the health and fitness aspect of it, because just like everything else that you would expect to do when it comes to, working on your fitness or even in your regular workouts, those are all, fundamentals, and even like, mental strength and discipline that not only do you carry in your outside life, whether that's your family, your friends, and your business, but literally even internally, when you're trying to push yourself to the very limit, and even beyond those limits, when you're working out and you're holding yourself accountable, those kind of things apply to everything else. So at least like to my take, that's why it's always been important, as individuals, but especially as an individual that's trying to pursue like kind of like that entrepreneurial mindset, and just everybody in general, making sure that, kind of like what Devin said, everything is in tune is a major, kind of like a major key to make sure that we have for ourselves. But you kind of hear a lot too that when somebody walks into a room and they're, you've noticed that their physique is good and like they're pretty built, like you kind of respect them a lot more than you would normally to, somebody doesn't seem as secure about themselves. So to me, I think that's a good contribution as well as to why we want to be able to help out, our takes and like answer any questions or any specific topics in health and fitness in general. So.
No, definitely. It's one of those things where I was just looking over the computer. Monica Jackson I just pulled up that we can see comments and stuff live. So At least that we got that going. Monica said, "Let's go." But it's one of those things where, like you're saying, when you walk into a room and you do gain some attraction or you gain some eyes when you walk in, it comes more than just like that physical approach, that appearance. Like when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you start to do good or perform in a better manner. So it's one of those things where your mindset is also developed from fitness, right? So as you're working out and your body starts to change and you start to work out on the days that you don't feel like going into the gym and you start doing those little habits, it starts to develop your mindset. So it still encompasses in the Mindset Cafe because there's so many different tasks and habits that are built through fitness that translate over, but also your mind and what you see as, how you see yourself is also built from fitness, right? All of a sudden you see your chest popping or you see your little striation here, a little line here. All of a sudden, you start to feel good. You start to walk with a little puff in your chest, and everyone takes notice.
Yep,
right?
Confidence is key.
So, one of the things too that we want to be able to give advice for and stuff is, nutrition on your fitness, your workouts, or any of those other questions to help you on your journeys. But honestly, it's one of those things where we're here for you guys, and that's what we have. Strive 11, the gym. We're launched the franchise. Like we're trying to impact people on as many fronts as possible. So taking that podcast platform and being able to approach the people, in a different manner, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and also, understanding that whatever your kind of business or whatever your path may be, that comes with a lot of stresses, like major stresses, even in people's daily work lives. And keeping in mind that working out and doing a regular exercise is going to help, is so beneficial as to your release, to your, kind of like, to a lot of people, it actually saves their lives and kind of like keeps them from going insane, and being able to at least doing it in the best way, kind of possible when it comes to your training program, or however your workouts may be, maximizing that is only going to be much more of a tool, for you guys to be able to make the very best of your extension, aside to deal with all that stress and overcome certain obstacles. So,
no, definitely. I know for me personally, like we've talked about it, like with our business and like the rate that we're growing and everything, it's awesome, right? But at the same time, like you'll hear those quotes and like I sent you a few. It's like, don't complain when you ask to eat and your plate is full. Plate full of problems, right? Like you overcoming those problems, obviously you grow. But it's one of those things too. Like you have to have an outlet. And like for myself, there's been days like, and I've always said to you, because not a lot of people do get like our journey, because it's hard looking from the outside in, even for for our spouses and significant others. Like it's one of those things where they see it to a degree, right? And as much as you want to, or we want to let them in, it's like you can't really know the stresses and the struggles unless you're in the thick of it. But it's like, yeah, venting and talking about it is a good way to get it out. But for me personally, like before we opened the gym, like we always worked out. Like I worked out every single day as a personal trainer. Like I would still train my clients and then I would work out. And I got wrapped up, me personally, in launching the franchise side, and I know you got wrapped up taking on my role and your role here while we were trying to basically conquer two fronts at once. In both, it all of a sudden was a huge workload, but then I know both of us kind of slacked on our workouts and stuff, and then it was like, man, like why do I feel like I told you there was multiple days like I was in a negative headspace, and it was like you put on a good face and a good front, but it's one of those things where us being trainers and us being gym owners, like we still didn't even see the connection because we were the ones that it was happening to.
Yeah, we were stuck in the situation.
And both of us were in the same exact situation, so we didn't know the solution. And it's easy now looking back, I'm like, damn, it was just because we weren't working out. Like we were always working out beforehand. Now we weren't working out. Obviously, start working out again, and you're gonna feel better.
Yeah, it's crazy when we started to realize, like, starting to kind of bring the workouts back slowly into our schedules. They were just like, you know what? I do feel some of the anxiety when like all things kind of, when it rains it pours kind of type shit.
Yep.
Where it's like, we're just like, and we talk about everything and we go back and forth and we're just like, kind of smile, but that like, kind of like that, shit, here we go. But it's like, when you do finally get to work out, at least it gives you some form of like, it releases some of the anxiety, you know, and like I forgot about that's what we turn to, you know, because we, again, like you just said, we got so caught up in everything, and I know people can relate to that. It's like when either it's at home, especially in their work or in their business or anything like that, when it's just one on top of another and then another, and it's like you're underwater. It's like you're trying to swim up as fast as you can. But like the more you move your arms, it's like the more you're sinking, the heavier you feel, and you just can't freaking breathe, you know, and like you're just trying to get a gasp of air.
Yep.
And you forget that sometimes like that having that outlet, and again for us it's working out, it could just be that slight bit of air that you needed, you know, even for that moment or for that day or for that, you know, half of the day. So I agree.
No, definitely. I mean, there's days that you're like, you know, you'll hit me up and be like, you know, how are things going? Like, bro, I'm about to throw my fucking laptop against the wall, like, you know. But it's one of those things too, where it's like, you working out, it does relieve some of those stresses, right? And it's not that it physically relieves the stress. It allows you to take your mind off of your current problems. Your problems are going to be there no matter what. And once you solve that problem, there's going to be another problem. That's just fucking life, right? But as you work out and as you get yourself feeling good, because when you do sweat, it's a natural high, right? R.I.P. but Greg Plitt, you know, basically said it's the best drug in life, right? You don't gotta smoke it, you don't gotta shoot up for it, all you gotta do is sweat for it. But it's one of those things, because your endorphins start to get released and you're listening to your music or you're listening to your audiobooks or you're listening to the Mindset Cafe podcast, whatever, you know, just mention it. But you're listening to one of those things and you're working out and you're overcoming the physical weight in front of you, and you're not thinking about the external weights that are being put on you. And so when you do finish your workout, there has been that time that you've gotten to relax or rest, or at least put aside those issues for right then, and basically gave your brain a reset, right? There's a post I put the other day. It's like, it's okay to, you know, reset and take a step back basically and refocus. Like you don't have to just keep running at the wall, right? If you're just running at the wall, like you're not doing anything for yourself, right? And even for us, I think the thing that we would get stuck in is like, there's so much to do like with what we're doing. And yeah, I could, you know, do 10 more things instead of working out, and we can move a little farther today. But at what cost in the next week, month, year? And pretty much that's what it was for almost a year. Like we were like, it was from like 5 a.m. to sometimes like 1 a.m. like, you know, and it was just grinding, like bloodshot eyes, like, you know, just trying to get the business going for the franchise and everything. And it was one of those things where, yeah, we moved fast, but I felt it mentally, emotionally, physically, and then that started to roll over into other things. Like any little situation felt way bigger than it needed to be. Any conflict or any argument, it felt bigger than it needed to be. It got more dramatic, or it escalated quicker, all because of the basically bottled up, you know, emotions, or bottled up basically for us, like our physical, our exertion of our, you know, when we work out, like it gets something out that it's just you can't do unless you physically work out. It doesn't mean you need a lift. Like you can come to Strive 11, that's fine. But you can lift, or you can, you know, shameless plug, but you lift, you can run, you can go for a walk, like do something, like get out of the house, right? Get out of, you know, your normal routine, and create a routine that you're more physically active, and it will start to have a ripple effect in other areas of your life.
That's right. And I like that, because like I found it like true to myself that the most like, I guess like high performing or productive people like tend to say that it's all about inputs and outputs, right? So everybody goes through that negative stuff, and you take in all this bad shit, right? Which is the problems. But what is it if you're taking all that problems, all that negativity, and like you said, bottle it up, pent it up, and then you just give it right back out, not only to the world, but everyone around you, like friends, family, you know, coworkers, bosses, employees, whoever it may be, in a negative aspect. It doesn't help anybody, and at the end of the day, you're hurting yourself way more. And instead of kind of taking in that negativity and all that bottled up stuff and letting it out externally into like that workout, like you said, into those weights, like, because I can tell you, like, when I do get the opportunities to like work out, like as seldom as it is, like those weights are my best friends, but also my worst enemy, because they physically get, like you said, I exert all the like the bottled up stuff instead of letting it out like into other people or even like into like, you know, just out there. I put it in physically into it, you know, and I leave it there so that when I'm out of the gym and I'm done with it, I'm back into my regular headspace that, all right, anything that comes in, I'm bringing out positivity outward, you know, and it's I can say that it has been working.
You know, definitely. I mean, the way I think of it is like, if you're not working out and relating it to like a fitness, like, you know, analogy, like if you're not working out and you're only just going through the grind and you're literally like running at that same wall or trying to take down the same wall, it's just not going down. It's almost like you're, let's say, bench pressing or you're lifting, right? And you're still pushing up, and as you're pushing up, there's just another 2.5 pounds on top, and another 2.5 pounds, and you haven't even got the fucking rep up yet, and you're just pushing, and it's like another 2.5, another 2, and then that shit starts to fucking come back down the opposite way. But it's like, when you go work out, it's almost like resetting. So now basically taking all that weight off and starting back with the bar, right? You come back into the same problems, refreshed, you know, and get to see it from a new set of eyes. And the answer might be right there, right? It might just fucking click and you see it. But since you're staring at the same thing over and over again, or you're facing the same problems or you're overreacting to the problems, then you're not seeing the solution, right? You know, when Justin Prince is on, we talked about this a little bit as well as in his book, but basically the events that happen in your life that are uncontrollable, right? The stresses, the obstacles, whatever may happen, right? An event, like if I push him, like he can't do anything about it, but the result or response from that is all up to him, right? So the outcomes or the events that happen to you, your ability to respond to those only start to become more erratic when you don't alleviate, you know, from like working out and stuff like that. So your responses and your emotional intelligence starts to go down because you're so emotional on every little thing. But now that is your outcome. So whatever your response is to an event is your outcome, right? But the crazy thing is, your outcome is someone else's event, right? So if let's say, you know, I just had a meeting with, you know, so-and-so, and they started yelling at me, it frustrated me, I was yelling back at them. You walk in, you hear it, and now, even though you're not in the conversation, naturally you're gonna be either irritated, you're gonna either be, you know, on edge or whatever the case may be, all because of something that just happened, you had no control, you just walked into that event. Or, you know, let's say I'm in a rush, and so my response to being late is I hit your car, right? Now, my event was that I woke up late. My response is I rush. My outcome is that I hit your car. Your event is your car got hit. And your response is, you know, but see, so all that starts to bottle up, and it's one of those things where you can control your responses to events, but what is your natural response versus your response when you don't have some form of outlet?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because it's you then get to start. It starts to. It's harder to distinguish something that is objective. That's something that objectively happened versus trying to determine that from like what you're emotionally trying to, your emotional perspective of what just happened.
Right.
You're taking. I get you. So that's very true, and I think everybody deals with that, and like almost on a situational basis, almost every hour of the day, where like most people just having normal conversation or you overhear something and it's like just because of the way you heard it or the way you saw something, and depending how you're feeling or how much you have bottled up inside at that moment, it can be from like 0 to 100, when in reality the magnitude of it could be completely different.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good point as to why it is important to, make sure that everybody is getting that proper outlet, workout wise, exercise wise, because it actually just helps your mind in line, and it I don't know, it's just to me, I think I'd go nuts without being able to work out, just personally speaking.
I mean, I would say that the hard thing, the difference also is that, like, we do work in a gym, right? So it's like, but the thing is, like, people do get that messed up. It's like, just because you're a trainer, just because you work in a gym doesn't necessarily mean that you work out all the time, right? We still have the same problems. Like, yeah, we're here, but think, like, when you're at work, when you get to clock out, do you stay there for another hour? Like, most people don't, Last thing I want to do is stay around for another hour, not just once, every single day. Like, do you stay at work for an extra hour every single day, even though, let's say, it might make you better at whatever it is? Do you learn a new skill at your job for an extra hour every single day? No. But since we work in a gym, all of a sudden people think that it's different because we're staying here to work out or whatever. Like, the last thing you want to do is see the same walls that you've just been in all day long.
Touch the same weights that we were just touching all day.
But that's one of those things, and one of the mindset skills that it starts to build is that dedication and that motivation, because motivation and everything comes from you consistently doing something and being dedicated to doing something, whether you feel like it or not, right? So whether we feel like working out here or working out somewhere else, after we just were demonstrating all day long, like, that's besides the point. We know what we need to do. We know what our goals are. We know our outcome from the response of us working out. That's why we do it. It's not because we want to. It's not because, we love working out no matter what, and we always feel peppy and ready to work out at any given time. That's just not the case, But it's one of those things where we know what it gives us and what the response is. So it's one of those things where, like, just because we're trainers, like, we go through the same fucking mindset, problems and hurdles on every front, from the business to, working out to everything,
I'm not saying I'm the fittest guy on earth, because I'm not, but when you're just saying that right now, the amount of times that I've heard, oh, you're fit because you're a trainer, oh, you work at a gym, so that's why you're so fit and you're so lean. And in the back of my head, I'm just like, no, the fuck I'm not. If like, like, the amount of effort it takes to work out, even just physically, from like the physical feeling of, like, already, again, being a trainer, having to go through the demonstrations, and don't get me wrong, I love it. You know what I mean? This is our passion. This is where everything started. So that's what it is. But as far as, like, you guys know what it is when you're done at the end of the day or in the middle of the day, whenever it may be, when your body's just like, no, I'm good. But I know myself. I know what I need to fucking do, and I take the emotion out of it. It's like, am I gonna do what I need to do, or am I not gonna do it? And that's why I fucking do it. So when I hear that, it's like, oh, it's easy for you because you're a trainer. That's why you're so fit. That's a negative, ghostwriter.
Yeah, last thing we want to do. I mean, yeah, we have the meal plan app, and we know a lot of, like, our members use the Strive 11 meal plan app and stuff. But it's like, it's not, like, eating healthy and eating clean isn't easier for us because we're in the field. Like, don't get me wrong, like, those fucking Girl Scout cookies, bro. Woof. those
Shout out to the plug.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but it's one of those things where, like, we go through the same battles, from nutrition to working out to, work to, communicating with each other as business partners, with our, families. Like, we go through the same struggles. Like, and that's why we have those realizations, and that's why from where we've came, we want to make sure that we can help as many other people come along their journey and continue their process and overcome those battles. Because it's not just the fact that we're that good, right? But you have to think, how many clients or how many members do we see on a daily basis? And now times that by a year. Now times that by, I've been in the fitness industry as a trainer for 15 years. Like, I've heard every problem you could pretty much think of. And I have like an unofficial, and I know you do too, like an unofficial like life coach, certification, whatever the fuck they get, right? But it's one of those things where a therapist, right? But it's one of those things where hearing someone else's problems or hearing someone else's struggles, whether it's with their family, whether it's in their job, whether it's, with their nutrition or whatever the case is, seeing it from an outside view allows us to analyze it a little bit differently and give someone a perspective shift, right? Or give them an answer that they might not be thinking of because they're the ones in it, right? Or their loved ones are telling them the same things we're telling them, but again, it's their loved ones. Like we're trainers, we're the professionals, so they listen to us. But it's one of those things where, like, again, we've overcome problems that necessarily weren't our problems, and that's one of those things where, so it's not that we think we're more qualified than anyone, it's just we've heard it all. We've talked about it all, and we've had the same problems with we haven't had problems, but we've heard the same problem from different people, and it took a different result for them to achieve what they wanted out of that resolving that issue, right? So it's not the fact that it's basically one key for one lock. There could be 10 keys for this lock, right? But we have a handful of them because we've had this conversation more times than not, and just because you follow someone online that says they're a life coach, like, tell them to go kick rocks. Like, I guarantee that they don't really do shit. Like, obviously a therapist and someone that's licensed, a little different, but it's one of those things where, again, we're not sitting here trying to tell you that we're life coaches or anything like that, but we're here to help you on your perspective, give you a different light, right? Take it, don't take it. It does no harm to us, right? Hopefully it helps you go farther on your journey. That's why we do it. We don't do it for the praise. We don't do it for, when we get a client that's like, oh yeah, I just, did this, what you said, blah, blah, blah. You don't see us posting it. Like, this happens all day, every day. Like, we don't do it for the shout outs. We don't do it for those things, right? If you message us and you have a problem, like, we're not going to screenshot your problem and tell it to the world. Like, that's not why we do it. We're here to have a positive impact on as many lives as we can, and that's our true core value, right? So it's one of those things where if you go on someone's social media and you see all the problems that they've overcome from the people that they overcame it with, are they really doing it for the right reasons?
That's right.
Like, just like those like YouTube accounts that you see when they're going to hand out like, $100 bills to like the homeless. It's like, would you have done that if the camera wasn't there? You know what I mean? Like, right. Those kind of things. Like, yeah, we're doing this like live, but it's also just because it's not really being done. Like, the podcasts are basically done via podcast, right? Yeah, a lot of people are posting it up on YouTube now, and so are we, but it's like, there has to be a different aspect. Like, you don't always have the ability to send in an email with a question and wait for and hope for something to get answered. So me and Nick were talking today, and it was like, dude, like, why don't we just try to do this live, like the lives, and then we'll still post the podcast, but this way we can help people, on the spot. So that way they don't need to message and need to, send an email or send a DM and, wait for it, and hopefully we cover that topic or whatever the case may be. It's like, we can cover and answer fucking 10 things, in a minute. Kind of thing. Exactly. And then the conversation can go, like, we don't have a plan. So for these live ones, I think this one we'll actually post it on Monday as like the recap, but it'll either be posted on Saturdays or Mondays, just depending. We're still trying to figure that out, but it's one of those things where this allows you to interact with us and know that each Friday will either myself, if Nick, if Nick's not available, if I'm not available, then Nick will do it. Like, one of us, if hopefully both of us, will be doing these together, right? Because normally Fridays we're together, working together.
The only time we're together.
Yeah, working together. So it's one of those things where, like, it's the perfect time for us. But it's one of those things where we want to make sure that you guys can relate and hold us accountable to this as well, right? Like, it's almost 11 o'clock, right? We've been in the gym all day long. Like, we've had meeting after meetings, and it's one of those things where, again, it's not going to be this late every time. We were trying to figure out this whole live from multiple stream thing for a few hours, but it'll typically be like Fridays around like 7 or 8 o'clock, and we'll do it for an hour or so. And we'll just take it wherever the conversation goes. Like, I don't, unless something came up in the day, at least this is like my perspective on it. Like, I mean, you can shed your light too. It's like, unless unless a problem has come up multiple times or a mindset thing has come up multiple times related to fitness or whatever the case is, like there is no necessarily direction for these episodes, right? This is more of like a fucking
free flow.
Yeah, free flow, like just a chat. Like, so it's one of those things where if we don't have any questions, we don't have them, we're just gonna, just talk, and we'll cover some random stuff, but there won't be like, oh, today we're gonna learn about this and learn about that. Like, this is the real Devin, this is the real Nick, like it is what it is, like take it for what it is, right? So it's one of those things where that's what we're gonna cover. If we don't have anything to really talk about, then we'll cover some stuff that we saw on social media, like whether it was bullshit, whether it was good, whether it was something that was notable.
Or even things that like we were like maybe encountered, not asked through the chat, even just in person or anything. With the gym here, Strive, if you guys are know about it already. Things like that we may like think that you guys might find useful, or questions that you guys may have thought of or have ran into, but just haven't had the chance to either ask, or it slipped your mind and now it's a good time for you to remind, like, oh damn, you know what, I've actually been wondering, what do I do with this, with the food, with the workout, with et cetera, so we can do it that way too. But I agree, this it'll be real, live, raw.
Raw, it's an interesting word. Katya told you yella. She said some other stuff, but I'm assuming you know what that is.
Probably. Shout out, Katya.
I mean, what have you? I mean, we just started our 11-week challenge here, and it's the first week, right? So we do the challenge, just so you guys know. I mean, again, so like this is what wasn't planned. We're not trying to just highlight Strive 11. It's, again, we're trying to keep the phone lines open, for another 30 minutes. So again, that's why since it's not scripted, like you're gonna get some random conversations. But this was the first official week of the Strive 11 Elite Challenge, which is basically similar to the other boot camps and fitness studios that do, their paid challenges and stuff. But we do it a little bit differently. For us, we have the meal plan app, we have the body composition scans and X, Y, and Z. The way we run ours is actually based off of relative change versus just, you lose a pound, they lose a pound, and you're tied. Or I lose 5 pounds, you lose 1 pound, I win. So it's based off of no matter what point in your fitness level you are, you could physically start this challenge and have a fair advantage against someone else that maybe it's their first day in and they might be 75% body fat, right? Which is highly unlikely, but let's say I'm at 10% and Nick was at, 30%, right? He's not, but let's say he is. It wouldn't be fair if we both were going into it and it's basically pound for pound or percent for percent. So doing relative change, it basically is if I'm at, let's do easier numbers. If I'm at 25% body fat and he's at 100% body fat, if I lose 1%, he needs to lose 4% essentially to equal out, right? That's just to make numbers easier right now. But now kind of highlighting all that, the challenge is also, it isn't easy, right? We give nutrition plans according to someone's body composition. We do all that kind of stuff. With all that said, like, have you got any questions or anything that, any comments or anything like that, from the members, like, thus far?
Just overall in general?
And yeah, or even like with the, having to eat clean or,
100%. Usually, actually in any program, including ours, that if you set yourself to, kind of lose weight or, drop body fat, you'll find that being in a caloric deficit, at least for the first couple weeks already, 1 week in, it's a joke that I kind of have with the members. Like, I know you're gonna feel a certain way towards me, and I only say towards me because they don't know that Devin's also my other half, and he's on the other back end. So it's okay. I'll take the heat for both of us. That when they do come in towards the end of like the first and second week, they're gonna hate me because they're gonna be hungry. They're gonna be tired. They're gonna feel sad at some point because they're not able to, at least mentally, they don't think they have the freedom to have exactly what they want. But mentally, they just think that they want those things, like, the excess junk food and like all the old eating habits that they had which was only like a week ago, right? But that's only because that's what their brain and their mind is accustomed to. It's what they're tied to. So I do have to have those talks very regularly, and that's okay. I let them know that, look, if you're frustrated, if you're sad, that's literally what I'm here for. I am your punching bag. And I understand that. So it is a common conversation that I have been having, especially with our first timers that are doing the challenge, that you're going to feel not even just hungry, but kind of like out of mind in a sense, out of body, like things, you feel weak physically, but more so like kind of mentally distraught, like things are thrown off because one, obviously your body is adjusting because you're not pretty much holding on to everything that you were before, but also the comfort sense of it. Our brains are like so accustomed to thinking on, at least like for people that just kind of have like a nonchalant or regular eating habit, like, oh, I want a snack, I'm gonna eat a chip. I want a cookie, I'm gonna eat this. Oh, the kids are having our mac and cheese, so I'm gonna have some too, right? So that gives us the comfort. Now all of a sudden you're tied to an accountability, to a responsibility, to where you can't just have that. Now your brain is going berserk. So that's where that first week to a couple weeks that we try to communicate with the members and the people, that those couple weeks are probably the hardest mentally, if anything. Because then once mentally you kind of accept the situation of, okay, this is how it feels. This is the suck. I have to embrace it. Don't get me wrong, it's still physically it's still gonna suck and you're still gonna feel tired. But at least mentally, like, you're a little bit more open to the feeling, because now your brain is starting to understand that there's a change occurring, right? It's not in that sedentary, comfortable state where, like, okay, I do what I want, I eat what I want, right? Now it's adjusting, and it's starting to adjust to being uncomfortable. So at least for the first week, to first couple weeks into the challenge, or again, any kind of program that anybody's following, that is kind of like the expectancy and feeling wise, and more importantly, mentally, to be prepared for, and that we've always kind of encountered.
No, definitely. I mean, I think that, like, something you said there, it's like, that's important too, is think about it's only the first week, right? And I know for me personally, right, that if I tell myself I'm not going to eat this anymore and that I'm not allowed to have this anymore, immediately I want that, right? And immediately it's hard. Like, it fucking wasn't hard an hour ago when I wasn't eating it either, but it's now hard knowing I can't have it, because now I'm focused on what I can't have versus what I can have. Right? And you have to think that you're only doing it for 11 weeks, or you're only doing, whatever the case is, for a short amount of time. Like, just suck it up. And your body will start to go through withdrawals, and your body will start to go through, different feelings, let's say. But it's because you have to realize that you also are cleansing yourself of the excess sugar and the excess, shit that you normally eat, whether it's the chemicals or whatever you put into your body. But you're cleansing yourself, so there is some form of withdrawal from those things too. And your ability to just do whatever you want, like, now that's being put onto, kind of a hold, immediately makes it tough for you, right? So it's almost like when, if you have kids, or when you were a kid and your parents said, no, you can't have that, that's all you wanted. Like, nothing else mattered, that's all you want, right? But there's so many other things you can do. Like, when we give our meal plans and stuff, it's like, sometimes we give recipes, but sometimes we just give the ingredients, and it's like, you can make a smoothie out of it, you can make fucking overnight oats with it, you can fucking throw it in a salad, like, I don't care, right? But this is what you have to eat, you can make it and get creative with it.
Or like Devin used to tell me when I first started, he's like, you could throw it all in a blender. It was like chicken and spinach and eggs and shit. He's like, you could throw it in a blender, blend it up, and drink it. I don't give a shit. It's like, as long as you take it.
I mean, that's because you were literally like hitting me up nonstop, and it was like, you're like, all right, you know, can I have this? Can I have that? And can I have this? And I was like, at first I was, you know, being very, very nice. And then it was daily, right? And I mean, I get it too. Like even when I was, you know, with Diana, like with the, you know, the pro boxer, like, and she would do the same thing. Like when I was fighting and competing too, like I did the same thing. Like, it's just natural. Like our members doing the same thing right now. But you were on another level at some point. Like towards that, like I want to say it was like week 6-ish. You know, because you're the one that wanted to do a crash, you know, bodybuilding show. Like, you're signed up, and you're like, yeah, I need to do it in 12 weeks. I'm like, all right, well, why 12 weeks? You're like, well, I already signed up, paid for it. I was like, well, fuck, dude. Like, so it was a little more dramatic on some of the things that we had to do, but it was like every day, hey, can I have a rice cake? And I was like, what does your meal plan say? It says chicken, broccoli, blah, blah, blah. I missed that. Did it say rice cake? No, then don't fucking eat it. Like I don't get what you don't get. You know?
Hungry, bro.
And then he's like, can I have this? No. What about this? No. It's like, it's just eat what's there, you know. And then it'd be like, or actually, it did have a flip side to it too. When we did need to add calories, there was a point where we had to add some extra calories, and then you're like, dude, I can't eat this, like, because now your appetite is shrunk, your stomach's shrunk, everything like that. And now I was like, honestly, I don't care how you get it down, just get it down. And you're like, dude, like I'm so full, like I can't eat it. I was like, I don't care if you put it into a blender and blend that shit. Like, get it into your system somehow. And then obviously we you know, threw in some supplements like ignition and stuff like that to add as carbs instead of you having to eat it. But everyone goes through it. It sucks. Don't get me wrong, but when you focus on the suck, it sucks worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's almost like, think about fitness. Again, fitness is translatable to everything. And the pain of you focusing on what you can't have or focusing on a negative, right? It's almost like when you want to leave work or you wanted to leave school, and you know that you got out of school at 3 o'clock and you keep looking at the clock every 30 seconds and it feels like time is dragging on, it's because you're focused on how much longer you have to do, right? Versus like just do what you need to do there and that will fly by, right? Because if you're not focused on the time, like how many times you're in the flow and you're like, fucking hours already flown by because you're just working. But when you're focused on what you can't have or what you want, it starts to feel like it's taking forever, or it feels like it's dragging out, or it feels worse than it really is. It's like, just suck it up and just do what you need to do, and don't focus on those things. Like, just focus on the task at hand, right? Don't focus on all the other things. Focus on the task at hand, and honestly, it will be a lot easier.
That's literally some of the conversations that I've had, in particular, since we're talking about, you know, kind of just the 11-week challenge that we have going on with the members right now. Is I can tell that even when it was just the fourth day in, and I'm already getting the I can't do this, and or not even, you know, like I'm hungry, like this sucks, like, you know, what the fuck, like, and I tell them, like, okay, if you actually break it down, like, are you feeling that kind of mental, and I guess in their perspective, that mental agony? Is it because you're starting to feel that quote unquote suck or discomfort, right? And then now after you feeling that, now the next thing your brain or what you're telling yourself is, holy shit, do I have to feel like this for another 10 weeks? Mm-hmm. So then that's when it's the next part of the conversation is, so instead of concentrating of the next 10 weeks, which hasn't even happened yet, concentrate on the day. Even more so, concentrate on your next meal. Concentrate on your workout for the day. Maximize the effort that you put into the workout for that day, or the 2 workouts if you guys do 2 workouts, and then concentrate on the effort that you put in preparing your meals for that day, on how well you're gonna hit your macros for that meal. If you just concentrate on the step by step, like he said, on the task at hand and give it 100% effort, before you know it, the day is over. Before you know it, the week is over. Before you know it, you're halfway through the challenge. Before you know it, you're at the top of the leaderboard. Before you know it, the challenge is over in 2 weeks. Before you know it, you look in the mirror and you're shredded as hell and you're like, holy shit. But that's not, obviously that's kind of like what you want to aim for and what you want to strive for. But it's not always going to be perfect like that because our mental frame of thinking. But it is the effort that you put into getting there is to me what I try to at least express in this early stages of the challenge, and more so any kind of program that we kind of implement to the members or even outside, because it's relatable to everything. Actually, if you set goals and stuff like that, I know it's a cliche thing, and like I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but it's like that Michael Phelps thing where it's like if Michael Phelps had to show up to practice and knew he had to swim 100 laps, on his first lap, if he looked up and said, holy shit, I have 99 more laps to go, it is going to take him forever mentally to complete that. But if he just took it one lap at a time, before you know it, you're already halfway there and then you're almost done.
Yep. I mean, also like going back to what you were saying about the challenge, like there's two ways to go about it. Almost like those like Instagram memes that you see. It's like person A or person B or person this, person one and person two. It's like you can dread it and you can fight it and you can resist it, right? The whole time. It's 11 weeks, right? We only do the challenge twice a year because we don't want to be another gym that just runs challenges all the time. The challenges are meant to, one, give you a transformation, obviously, but two, to boost you. So the first one that we're doing right now, it boosts you for the, it launches you off for 2024, for the beginning of the year. The second one is after summer break, when you've gone out with your kids or your family and you went on vacation, right? There's another 11-week challenge to basically get you back in the grind. But it also ends right before the holidays because that's when people typically start to slack off and stuff, and you're less likely to slack off if you're feeling good, right? If you're already feeling like one of the best times you felt all year, you're gonna wanna keep that going, and now you're gonna combat the typical holiday weight gain, right? So it's one of those things where there's two types of people. There's the type of person that will sign up for this, high hopes, you tell them that they can't eat it and whatever, and all of a sudden they're going through the process like, oh my God, like 10 more weeks, oh my God, 9 more weeks, 8 more weeks, da da da. All of a sudden they hit week 6 and they're like, oh shit, I only got 5 weeks left. And now they're trying to play catch up. Or you'd have the person that is just focusing on the task at hand and just doing the things they need to do and pushing themselves and doing everything with effort and actually paying attention and attentiveness to it. And now they hit week 6 and they're not trying to play catch up. They've gone through that pain, the same amount of time, same amount of suck, but they went through it, and all of a sudden they look at the mirror, and now what was pain is now, oh shit. Like, look at my bicep. Oh shit! Look at my pants. Don't feel like they used to. Like, look at this shit. Like, I look like, what was that? Like, pedophile dude's name from Subway? Jared from Subway.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, fuck that guy, but but Jared from Subway. Like, all of a sudden you feel good. So now, the last 6 weeks that has sucked, and you were just doing the task at hand because you're like, damn, I know I need to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to focus on what I can't have. I'm just going to do that. Now you see the results from it, and now you're like, it doesn't even suck that bad anymore. Like, I want to do these other things, and now I see the results that I'm getting. Like, I want to do more. Exactly. Like, what else can I do to excel and further my goals and make it even more dramatic? Versus someone that's been fighting it and now is trying to play catch up. So you got the catch up person, and then you got the person that's like on their own natural high for the next 5 weeks. Right. And the person that's on that natural high for the next 5 weeks is what we're trying to instill with like this challenge and with the Bible and challenge, all the ones that we do. It's like that person honestly won the challenge themselves. That's the whole purpose of it. It's, yes, you get prizes if you get first, second, third, yeah, woohoo, you get a trophy. But the real prize is if you just put your head down and you do the work for 11 weeks, I guarantee you when you come out of that 11 weeks, you are going to be a new person. the rest of the year going into summer and stuff like that, you will be a lot more dedicated than someone that resisted the beginning of the challenge. Then try to play catch up, whether they feel good or not towards the end of it. Like you should still see some results if you start following the plan, but you have 5 weeks of results versus 11 weeks of results. But naturally you're gonna be like, that was good. I lost, X amount of pounds or whatever the case is. You're probably gonna fall off in another 5 weeks, But if you already have that natural high and you just see what hard work and effort gives you, like you're going to go further, right? That's just how it happens. But that happens in every area of life, right? That happens with business. Like being a gym owner is hard. Like there's, any business, being a business owner is hard. But if you focus on all the negatives all the time, it's like every day is going to seem hard. And that's why, some businesses fail. Like it's not a game for the faint of heart. Right? And entrepreneurship is one of the hardest, businesses and career paths to go down, but it's also the most rewarding. Just like your fitness journey. Fitness is fucking hard. It's hard to eat clean. It's hard to work out every day. It's hard to do the things that you don't want to do, whether you feel like it or not. But the results come from the hard work. That's why not everyone is fit. That's why not everyone is successful in their business. That's why not everyone is a manager at their job. That's why not everyone, you can go down the line. People get separated from average when they do things that average people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, you can't put a price, from what you had said, that the person that put that full intent for that whole 11 weeks, you can't, that feeling, like whether that person, or those persons won first, second, third place, whoop-de-doo, it's like you can't put a price on the feeling that they actually achieved at the end of it, right? So I think that I immensely agree with, because it's like you can't put a price on that, like, at all. And the fact of, I think when it comes to a little bit of what you said, like the type A, type B person, yes, everybody does sign up for not only a challenge, but any kind of accountability or, kind of program or anything like that. Yes, you did it for a reason, right? You did it because you want to attain something. But to me, a part of it, what distinguishes the type A and type B person as to somebody doing full intent, full wholehearted effort from beginning to end, to somebody that's just, I'm going to try, but I'm not going to try super hard for the whole duration of it. I'm just like for the first 5-6 weeks or whatever, is the weight and the value of their why, of the reason why they're doing that certain accountability or that challenge to begin with. Because if it is somebody that for example, if somebody that is doing a challenge, if their main priority to do it was, their doctor told them, hey, this is a medical issue. If you do not accomplish these specific measurable numbers, that's it. You're kaput. I'm sure the full intent effort is there from day one to all the way to the end, right? Mm-hmm. Because the weight of the value of their why they even did it is there. Mm-hmm. That's a very heavy weight, and it's there. Like the why, the value of it is complete. But for somebody that's just like, I kind of want to be, I want to be summer ready. I want to have that summer body, but I'm okay. But if I don't really get that summer body, so you did it. You're doing it because you have like a tangible timeline goal that you want to get to. But the weight of it to you just didn't weigh that much enough to put in your wholehearted effort. To me, that's partly what distinguishes that type A, type B type of people. But another important aspect to that is what we kind of forget along the path of kind of these processes is each day and each lesson and that we learn about ourselves, let's call them building blocks. The building blocks that we acquire and that we learn and that we build along the process is actually the most important part of it, rather than the end of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the habits, specifically when it comes to the challenge in like health and stuff, the habits, the discipline, the routines that you build from beginning to end of your accountability time frame is actually what it is the most important part to me, rather than just the current end goal. Because when you do reach that end goal of those numbers within that time frame, what's next? Something more. You're going to aim for more. And what will get you to those next milestones that you're reaching for? Your foundation that you built along the way. To me, that's what matters.
No, 100%. I mean, it's not really an arguable thing. Like, it is what it is. Like, there's some things in life that you can debate and you can, have your opinions on, and then there's some things it's just fucking black and white. Mm-hmm. Like, you can try to work around it and you can justify it in your head that it's some other way, but at the end of the day, you do it your way. It's not how we're saying it. What are the results that you're getting? Like, you're not going to get the results. It's not rocket science on it. Do the work. You don't feel like it, but you do the work because you're going to get the result. You don't do the work because you don't feel like it. You don't get shit. Like, the grind doesn't care how you fucking feel, right? It doesn't. That's the crazy thing. Is like, and depending on what you're going in, like, the challenge is like, don't get me wrong. The challenge, it's like, yes, first, second, and third place. It's like, that is something to be proud of, right? Because that is hard. Like, it's, again, since it is a fair fight, like, you were the most dedicated. Like, you did do a little extra than everyone else, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what gave you that. So it's not like to downplay like winning those spots, but it's one of those things where just because you didn't win first, second, or third place doesn't mean you didn't win. And this doesn't mean everyone gets a participation trophy. Like, that's not what it's about. Like, the numbers are the numbers. Everyone sees them. Like, you don't just get to see your numbers. Like, everyone gets to see your numbers. Everyone knows if you didn't fucking follow the plan. And if you didn't follow a plan, fucking tough luck. Like, you're the person that, you'll sign up next challenge and you might hope and pray that it's going to change. But at the end of the day, like Nick said, if you're not building that foundation and you're coming into the next challenge with the same foundation, then